or you guys are going to pastors so we can talk like Jesus is real and this kind of stuff too? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I work in different settings,
Of
you know,
course,
so
yeah,
we
no,
kind of
it comes
different
with, for
language.
sure.
So I was just starting in grad school, and my mentor was Everett Worthington, who was studying forgiveness and couples. And I was newly married, and it wasn't going so well. And we were really having a difficult time. And I thought I should study marriage because maybe I can figure this out. And then I started going to a church. My husband and I started going to a church, and that church really poured into us and changed our lives and really set us on a very different trajectory. And I recognized what faith can do in a family. I am definitely both a clinician and a researcher. My primary area of research is the hope-focused approach to couple therapy, and I've been doing a lab studying that, which is integrative, Christian integrative approach, addressing things like forgiveness and compassion. And so I really enjoy that, and we've seen over 500 couples in my lab and done outcome research with multiple publications on that. So that's a primary area of my research that I do, and just enjoy that to do particularly Christian integrative work. So we're talking about faith, we're looking to faith as a resource for people to be able to face the struggles and difficulties in life, and building the intervention around that, and then testing it in the research. A hope-focused approach is taking great ideas from Christianity, like hope, like forgiveness, like compassion, and pairing them with the science. So there is a whole science and social psychology literature of hope that looks at agency and willpower, so willpower and way power, we call it, as a way to create change. So that's the theory of change. And so we marry those two things together and create strategic interventions that help couples whenever they're facing struggles for marital therapy or marriage enrichment work. And then we go loop back and study the effects on their faith life as well as the effects on their relational life at home. How are marriages in the church? I think most any pastor would be able to tell you that it is a difficult space and time and culture in the West to be able to have a healthy marriage and relationship. Churches, when we do surveys, I've done surveys of churches and the needs of married people in churches, and we find 10 to 20% of the couples are dealing with some very severe issues: domestic violence, substance abuse. They're on the brink of divorce, and I think most pastors and churches are aware of that. Maybe not as aware. Maybe some people are hiding that information from them. And then there's about another 60% of couples that are dealing with the everyday difficulties of married life. So incompatibilities, stress and strain, external stresses of health, or difficult child rearing situations, all kinds of things. And then a smaller percentage that are kind of like your mentor, beautiful couples who just seem to be very compatible, very simple. The world kind of supports them, and they have the resources to be able to give back to others and to support others and be role models for other families. I wish that I could say, when I think about interventions in churches, that it is something that is wonderful and doing a great job and making huge changes. When I talk to pastors about the interventions they're doing, they're usually finding, yes, we do these interventions, we do these retreats, we do classes, but there's still all this trouble in the families and the couples that attend our church, and they're looking for something that's more effective. And probably one retreat for half a day a year is not going to be effective. And there's going to need to be more of an intentional large-scale type of intervention to be able to help families in the culture that we live in today, which is a difficult culture to create a healthy marriage in. That there will need to be role models and support from peers and classes and expert training, all coming together to help people to create that healthy family life that churches really do want to see. So when introducing ideas to churches and groups, I find that starting small seems to work really well. So it's things like offering a workshop or offering resources from online, just things they can give to people in their congregation to make it simple for them. And then going from there to a consultative process. So what does the church need? What do we have to offer? What kinds of ministries might be a good match for the type of church? I really like to work in international settings and with churches that don't already have all the resources possible that are available to them, and to be able to find creative ways to be able to meet the needs with very limited budget, very limited resources available to them. And then to craft something with ministry goals, with discipleship, to grow the next generation of young families into mature leaders in the church, and to be able to have the deeper life in their family life in addition to individually. Yeah, I understand why some pastors sometimes have concerns about psychology. I mean, Freud went around saying that all religious people are essentially toxic and, are psychologically unstable. So I appreciate that. I think when we move into the area of working with marriage and families and parenting, that sort of thing, there is a natural synergy between what the mental health field has to offer and what the church is looking for. And finding expert training in parenting, expert training in marriage relationship, and in relationships in general in the church, and how to do them in a healthy way, there's less tension sometimes between those two fields. And so I found it to be pretty nice partnerships most of the time with churches. I think a lot of church leaders do see the more serious issues, the domestic violence, the divorce, the substance abuse, that sort of thing. And it can easily overwhelm both the church leader and small group leaders and Sunday school class leaders, and their friends are coming to the church leadership saying, what do we do? This person, we think there's domestic violence, we think there's substance abuse happening, or something more serious like that. And it can be very overwhelming. I'd like pastors and church leaders to know it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for mental health professionals too. And creating a strong intervention to care for families like that is really important. It can be really tempting to also just kind of farm them out to mental health care workers and then do nothing else. But, if someone comes to you and you find out they have cancer, you don't just say, go see your doctor and talk to us in a year. You continue to care for that person. You continue to minister to them and to be the church in their lives in a way that mental health or healthcare cannot. And so I think that there's a real need to find ways to partner together so that mental health care workers can do the more serious work of substance abuse treatment or aggression in a person's life, and can help people work through it with the tools of mental health. But, the casserole ministry is important. Truly, it's very important for friends to come around and say, hey, we're here for you. We see your struggle and we're in it with you. We are not leaving and we are not going to abandon you just because you're in a really, really tough place. And I think that takes real wisdom and thoughtfulness when you're facing some of the more serious issues that families sometimes are going through in our culture. I am really excited about the way that psychology has an international focus. So there's a project right now that I'm in the middle of with some other mental health providers, providing training to people who work with refugees in Syria. We're particularly helping them with parenting issues. So the aid workers, mental health, and healthcare workers in that area, they have all these families that are in long-term need. They've been traumatized, they've been through some of the worst things, and the parents are with their children every day and trying to figure out the best ways to be able to be good parents in that situation. And so I'm pulling together things I'm hearing these days, this week, with all of these other professionals about how to partner with the right people to do something sustainable across a long period of time. These families are not out of the woods. They are still in difficult and traumatic situations. And so how do we create sustainable interventions that empower the family to be the best intervention tool within themselves, with each other, to create a culture within that family and then within the larger refugee camps that can have positive mental health principles in play, that there can be awareness and then intervention for that. So that is something I'm very excited about, to just take the ideas and share them and learn from the people who are working in that area and have them teach me. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more from them than they're going to learn from me. But that is very exciting to me to get a chance to do that. Mm-hmm. I think I would say that, God is on the move in the world today, and that there is an intentional move of the Spirit to pair the work of healthcare, mental health care, and church communities. That this is not something that's random or, unplanned. And I really look forward to seeing the doors that God continues to open in this area, and it is such a privilege to get to be a part of that. I definitely get a chance to do some of that. There's another project I'm doing right now that's training mental health care workers on how to address religion and spirituality and family therapy. And so that we particularly are trying to get people who are not religious to be a part of that. So that's our target audience, essentially. It's kind of a mission field in some way. And that's a really exciting kind of thing, to be able to talk about the importance of meaning in life, of creating meaning in life, no matter what religion or spirituality people might adopt or what place they are in their own spiritual journey. It's really exciting work to be able to have the hope that whenever clients in therapy settings bring up faith, bring up their God, that there will be respect for that, there will be understanding, and a little bit of skill to be able to incorporate that into what's happening in the family, or if there's tensions in the family, to be able to talk through, what do we do when people in the family have different religions, or different importance of religion within the same family? What is the best way to be able to address that's therapeutic and supportive of family life, and not increase the tensions by taking a side or being unfair. So.
Cool. Well, that's it, Jessica.
Yeah. I'm good. Is that good?